reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 174. Apparently last week we decided to have two episode 172s instead of naming last week 173. So, surprise! Bonus episode 173. I'm Chris, and I'm joined once again by my favorite group of people to talk games with, and we also have Harry Hall.
And Zoidberg. Thank you.
Why not Zoidberg? And
Save my friends and Zoidberg. Yeah.
And of course, the one, the only, the star of Twitter, just climbing up the Twitter rankings, Mr. at MMO Bill. Hello, Bill.
Hello. Oh, dang, yeah, my arms are tired from all that climbing.
I bet. And of course, what podcast would be complete without someone who refuses to wear pants? Hi, Leonor.
Actually, I can name several podcasts.
Hey, I still have a job.
I had a few right off the top of my head, too, yeah.
Thinking The Instance, Gamers with
You know what?
Jobs, GameWise.nl.
MMO Reporter.
I was working on some podcasting stuff, and Steve sent me an IM that he's decided to go pantless too. So I think we're gonna have to lose Steve.
I would not be that sad about that, actually.
Yeah. All right, let's get into my favorite part of the show and start talking about some of the games that we have played in this past week. Leonor, why don't you start?
Okay, everybody. On the count of three. 3, 2, 1.
Lotro.
You guys didn't even join me.
I did. I totally did. Is this thing on? Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
I just gasped in
I
utter
didn't do
amazement.
very much in the PvP area. I got to 32%, and I'm pretty much been stuck there. But I have been doing a lot of the epic battles and getting a lot of points through that. So the epic battles are getting a lot of fun, and I actually know how to do them now.
Really? Because
Which,
I'm still disappointed and bitter about those.
I think most of the community is still
Disappointed and bitter about those?
Still avoiding those. Mm-hmm.
It feels like part of the quest is actually finding the fun in epic battles, because I haven't finished that one yet.
That's still a quest you're working on?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a quest many Lotro players are still working on.
And then I jumped into the secret world and checked out the PvP area, which is it's kind of like a capture the flag area. I don't know how to put it. There's 4 spots, and you can capture those 4 spots. And if you do that, you'll start getting a barter token to trade in later on for PvP gear.
Okay, cool.
Like,
so that's what this map is.
Is it like the Plague Lands in World of Warcraft? So like basically the first open PvP area they had back in vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played that.
Okay.
Oh, that was just an epic nostalgia that you dredged up there, Harry.
Yeah, I've been around for a bit.
So I jumped into that, and that was a lot of fun. I gained a lot of points for doing that. We were defending the whole area, which I haven't seen very much teamwork on the Templar side. It always seems to be the other two factions that always hold that map. So it was really nice to actually see the Templars do something for once.
Nah. I was Templar when I played Secret World, right?
Really?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I like it.
They're the cool people.
I like the fact that when you walk into the Templar's base and they say, okay, here's all these weapons, here's a sword, here's a gun, and all this stuff. All right, and we have all these demons over there tied up to the wall. Go practice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Bill, what did you do this week?
This week, Guild Wars 2 is the only game that I played with air quotes around it. I'm a little Guild Wars 2 bored. My wife and I, we made this kind of half effort. Like we feel just kind of like we should play a game. We haven't played anything in a while, so we fired up Guild Wars 2, and we ran around and we quested. And I swear, 2 weeks ago, the same thing was fun, and I liked it. And this week, it was just not. And I'm ready for something new. If only there was something new coming out soon that could shake up my gaming experience. If only.
Yeah, that would be madness to expect something. Lightning cannot strike twice in the same place. So
that is the creepiest damn voice I've heard.
It would be a wild coincidence, wouldn't it, if there was a game that just appeared in front of me at in my moment of greatest gaming need.
Bill, why don't you wish upon a star, and then
maybe your wildest dream will come true?
I wish I wish we could drop this terrible pun right now in a very smooth way. Yes, I'm looking forward to WildStar. WildStar's doing a little bit of Ops Week this week, and I'm 100% disappointed that Ops Week is not useful to me at all. I can
not
understand
short for always open when
it.
Bill wants to play week, you mean?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I understand the technical reason for it, but the practical reason of keeping me happy, because this is really all about me, we've got to remember here. They've really dropped the ball. So, come on, Carbine.
Hey, you know what? They are going to be sending me a whole bunch of swag to give away for our live streaming event on Saturday.
Ooh, fancy.
Yes, I'm excited. They haven't told me what
yet. Any women bunny stuff?
Can somebody explain to me why the gaming industry seems to have a preference of sending out T-shirts that are either small or medium size?
Yeah. You know what I wish?
I don't get it.
I know exactly why. Because the large and the extra large, they can charge money for. But there are no small or medium gamers.
That's stereotyping. Come on, Bill.
Yes.
Well, I expected more.
Basically racism, but, you know.
I'm so sad, Bill.
Gaming racism. So in my struggles to find something fulfilling to play, I actually jumped back to a roughly 16th century technology, and I read a book. I'm in the process. Yeah, you know those little paper things that have the words on them that don't fall off.
Tablets?
No.
Great battery life, terrible interface.
Not e-paper, paper.
Paper? Okay, I kind of get it. Yeah.
Dead trees mashed up into a real thin thing, like even thinner than an iPad. Anyway, so I started reading Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. So if you're looking for something to tide you over until, you know, that next great MMO might come out or anything like that, I'm actually really enjoying it. It's the next. It's kind of grabbing that epic fantasy genre that I like. I kind of got from Wheel of Time, and I don't want to say it's like Game of Thrones because it's really not, but it's that type of super long, deep, gut-wrenching fantasy story that's probably going to be a TV show someday. So there you go. Also, Patrick Rothfuss is the guy who played the role of Will Wheaton in Acquisitions Incorporated last year at PAX. So
the role of Will Wheaton.
That's how he caught my attention.
Cool.
The role of Will Wheaton will now be played by Patrick Rothfuss.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my week. How about you, Harry? Did you do anything riftaculous?
It was riff amazing actually. No, let's stop this before it gets out of hand. I was dying, absolutely dying to finally try out the Oculus Rift. And thanks to a friend of mine, Bas Vroegop, put me in touch with a developer called Laurens Bruins. I know these sounds are alien to your English ears, but
So much.
Lawrence would be his English name. Lawrence is an absolutely delightful guy who is part of Jaywalkers Interactive, which is a gaming studio in the Netherlands, a small studio. They're producing a game for Vita that's going to be pretty damn awesome. And that guy, I sent him a message to Facebook like, I know you have an Oculus Rift. I know you don't know me, but I know Bas. Do you have any time at all to show me this thing? And I expected him to say no, too busy, or I don't know who you are a stranger, get out of here. And
Wear some freaking pants. You know, stuff
he was
like
delightful. He was delightful. He said, "No, sure, come over." And I said, "Okay, where's your studio?" He said, "No, I work from home, so come over to Rotterdam. I'll show you everything you want to see." So I went over there. Really very driven guy, and he was just delighted to show me the joys of virtual reality. He really wanted to share this thing. He has an Oculus Rift DK1, as in DevKit 1, which is the first Rift that was available through Kickstarter. And his studio also made a demo that turned out to be pretty influential and is being used in all kinds of interesting fields. It's called Blue Marble, which is also my first Oculus Rift experience. It is a very simple concept. It's more of a meditative experience than a game. You are in a spacesuit and you float from Earth to the moon. And that journey is timed to the MP3, to the music file that happens to be playing in the simulation. So if you have a long music file, you have a long trip. Well, you get the idea. And the first experience I had of putting the thing on and the screen flipping on, and I'm actually looking out into space to the Earth, and it was amazing. It was so immersive. And there's a lot of things wrong with the first Oculus Rift. For example, the Leonor, stop playing The Secret World. I just see the message pop up from. Anyway,
no, but it's something. Jeez, focus.
Yeah, the experience was very immersive. Your complete field of vision is taken up by the screen. The 3D effect is great. Only the resolution is pretty low because this first thing was, it's kind of the Pong of virtual reality systems. But it's still, after a minute, you just forget that you're wearing something, even though you adjust so quickly to just being there. And I played a lot of different demonstrations. There aren't any really full games out for the system yet. So I've floated through space. I've walked through Tuscany. I've sat in a roller coaster, which was really nauseating in so many levels. This is the Rift coaster. This is one of the most famous demos, I think, for the Oculus Rift. It is a roller coaster that is physically impossible. The first drop is a 90-degree drop down. It's really stomach turning. And halfway the track stops, and it's a little ramp, and you don't see the other end of the track because it's behind a wall. So you make this jump into nothing and then land on the track and go. I was actually convinced that I was high up, and the crazy thing is every time you take the thing off and you're back in your normal world where I'm sitting in this guy's home office. And the switch from the huge scale of the simulation to being in this normal size room, it's so weird. It's like waking up from a dream. And I had a great afternoon talking to him about virtual reality, and his Blue Marble demo is apparently used in medical fields. For example, it's used for kids with autism to help them calm down and relax when they're overstimulated. It's also used for. He
Wow.
told me that a doctor, a surgeon, sent him an email telling him that they used his demo for a kid that had surgery but was locally anesthetized in his spine. I don't know what the English term for that is. Epidermic, I think.
Epidural.
So epidural, yeah.
Yeah.
So this poor kid was conscious while they're performing complex surgery, and to take his mind off it, they put on the Oculus with this blue marble demo, and the kid was just focusing on something that was fun and amazing for him.
Awesome.
So things like that, it feels like that you don't even consider because hell, it's great that it's used for stuff like that as well. And the day after, sorry, yeah.
I was just going to say, Chris and I actually had this discussion here a couple days ago because Chris can't find joy in anything. He was operating on the assumption that the Oculus Rift is probably going to be a bit of an awkward experience and shifting from kind of standard computing mode into immersive gaming mode. Did you find that at all? Like, was it just a matter of putting it on and going, or did you have to do a little bit of setup on your computer to kind of prepare your gaming experience?
It was quite easy, and I replicated part of the experience at home. I'll get to that in a second.
Can I just? I need to add to what, because Bill didn't explain that very well at all. I compared it to something like Ifinity, which I can do Ifinity on my home setup, but I don't because it's kind of a pain. And yeah, it's nice to have the monitors wrapping all around and all that sort of stuff, but it's not nice enough that it's worth the pain of switching over the settings, getting it all set up, and then switching it all back afterwards. So I thought I could see Oculus Rift becoming something like that, where I just want to play a game. I'm not going to bother getting it on, setting it up, changing the settings, and then going in. It's going to be for those very long sessions where you really want to immerse yourself.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, and remember, Lawrence
I meant that
had
as a
the
question,
first...
not a comment. It didn't sound very question-like.
No, questions have this go up at the end of the sentence.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. Okay. But Lawrence told me that first there's not much that's actually meaty gaming experience, right? So it's not like there is much that will get you into it. He said, well, okay, it's kind of what you say. It's like, I don't always want to put this thing on and let me just play a game right now. So that's exactly the same sentiment that he shared with me. And he owns one, so he knows.
Yeah.
But he also told me that he played Half-Life 2 from beginning to end with Oculus Rift on his head, 8-hour session, and was having the time of his life.
Yeah.
He said that the feeling of scale you get when you first get out of that train at the beginning of the game and see the skyscraper, the tower, he says that's just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And he told me that unfortunately he didn't have a Half-Life 2 installed when I was there. He wanted to show me, but he kind of forgot that he uninstalled it a couple of weeks before. So we're not going to install it while I'm sitting there. But so he said, the first few days I had incredible motion sickness, so that kind of put me off. But at a certain point, you just work through that and you get used to it. And he says this is the first version, and I agree. The first version, because the resolution is low and the head tracking isn't optimal, it's not the most comfortable experience to start out with. But after a few minutes, or after a few days, in his case, you just go through it and you can actually use this the way you play a console. But there has to be content to get you into that.
Right. Just take advantage of it.
Yeah. So a day after I got there, coincidentally, I received the Rover's Dive. And I've talked about this briefly last week. It's basically a holder for an iPhone or an Android telephone with two lenses. And you put your phone into it, and it gives you a Rift-like experience. And it is closer than I imagined, than I feared, but it lacks certain things that keep it from being an actual workable tool. There is this roller coaster demo on iPhone or on Android that just runs from your phone and uses the head tracking in your phone, like the accelerometers and stuff. And it works quite well. And you're wearing that, and you're sitting in the roller coaster, and you feel like you're kind of there. And the head tracking is key. So if I set it up that I hooked up the phone to my PC and copied the image and all the things that I blabbed on about last week, and then you just have a 3D screen strapped to your face, which works, and it's quite good. But the first day I got so much motion sickness out of it, because there is a distinct lag in everything that you're doing, and that's just not good. But it's a fun little toy, and it was €50, so I think that's $70, I think, including shipping, which is not bad for a toy, but it's not good for. It's not. You're not gonna get a Rift for that. It's not. It's just not like that.
It looks interesting.
It is, and what I tried with for yesterday, I dared to put it on again. There is this Rift demo that also works with the Rover's Dive that puts you in the apartment. And that's pretty cool. You really have a sense of presence.
Sorry, you're going to have to say that again because you blinked out on me for a second. It puts you in the...
It puts you in the apartment of Jerry Seinfeld from Seinfeld.
Awesome.
Awesome. I have to just the best experience I had on the Rifts was actually the movie theater one, and I saw myself using this at home and preferring this over playing it over television. What this is basically a virtual recreation of a huge movie theater, like an IMAX kind of thing.
Yeah.
With seats, and every seat you can take, every seat is empty. Nobody's talking through the movie. I'm thinking I want a gun in that simulation. So if anybody gets in there, like, shut up.
And
my movie.
Now sorry. Go ahead.
You're sitting in the theater, and you have this screen in front of you that is like 10, 20 meters in diagonal. And you believe that. The scale is so great, and the head tracking is so convincing, even on the first version, that after a minute, you believe you're sitting in this huge theater. And this is the one thing that amazed me most, because I know you have a 15-centimeter screen in front of your face. Undoubtedly believe that you are in this huge place looking at the screen. If the resolution is bumped up a little, I can see myself watching movies from that simulation much better than sitting on a couch.
Wow.
So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the PlayStation sort of version has built-in headphones, but the Rift does not. Do you think that's going to make any difference at all with the sort of...
No.
Because you really can only fit earbuds with that, right? You can't fit full headphones over your head.
You can.
Yeah,
you can. It's
okay.
The headband is comparable to what I have here on the Dive.
Okay.
And that works fine. There's no problem.
Cool.
So no, that's just it. You're going to be fully immersed in it.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll quickly go through some other things. I too did some reading, but obviously on something that's current, like a Kindle. I read Ready Player One. I'm sure you probably read it before.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it yet.
It is one of the best books I've read in years.
Wow.
It's the ultimate video game book for people who either remember the 80s or care about the 80s, because the setup is it's the future. Everybody has access to a virtual reality kind of internet called the Oasis. And this is basically what you want the Oculus Rift to provide you. Like fully immersive 3D world, and all games are basically running on that platform. There's references that still World of Warcraft is still running in the Oasis. The book is jam-packed full of references to Firefly, to war games, to every kind of geek thing that you can imagine. Will Wheaton makes a guest appearance in the book, and that's interesting because he's actually the narrator of the audiobook. So I'm just for that, I want to read this. But it's about this guy called Wade Watts who is dead poor, lives in a trailer in a dilapidated world that's run out of energy, and there is this contest over a huge inheritance. And what people are trying to do is find this Easter egg hidden in the oasis that will give them the entire thing. So if they find it, they inherit the entire, basically Bill Gates, Steve Jobs like empire from the guy who set the thing up. And it's an amazing quest story. And I think everybody who is remotely interested in MMOs and gaming should give this one a try. Friends of mine have been trying to get me to read this for over a year, and I didn't have the time or the inclination or whatever. I was wrong. I was so wrong because
Holy
this
smokes. Chris,
this
write
is
that
the-
down.
I have already.
I couldn't have been wronger.
Couldn't have
Okay.
been wronger.
Even
Yeah.
even by
What?
Wronger.
even if you tried to use the word wronger.
Okay, I'll move on. Finally, I played Watch Dogs, and
Oh
is that a moan of annoyance or of?
no, of wanting.
It's a blast. It starts out feeling very much like a GTA game, and in essence, it is. It is basically GTA with God mode turned on because you have all these hacking skills.
Huh.
It's more fun than I make it sound like, but it is a really cool open world experience. It's not revolutionary in the sense that you feel this is the game that's going to change everything, but it is a lot of fun. I played a bit of the single player, and the most fun I had was in the online bit because you can invade or be invaded in your game. And that's such a cool concept. So another player can basically hack your Watch Dogs experience, get into your game, and interfere with your gameplay.
Your single player
very-
game?
Yes, it's very reminiscent
Wow.
of the way Dark Souls works. If another player invades your game, you cannot pick up the next quest in your main campaign. So you get a message like, "Oh, there's a fixer here. You have to take him out before whatever." And there are several modes. For example, there's this hacking mode, and that means that you or somebody can get into your game and tries to hack your virtual telephone in your system, and you have to find him before he completes his mission. And the other player will look like any other NPC. So you have to make sure you have to look for odd behavior, and you have this profiler that you can use to scan the characters around you to see if one of them is the hacker. And it's fantastic. It's so amazing to either be hacked or do the hacking yourself. Just parking somewhere on the corner of the street, observing somebody going completely nuts trying to find you is hilarious.
And I take
And
it
then-
you have partaken in this evil behavior?
Well, yeah. Duh.
I would.
There are some basic spying mistakes you should not make. For example, if you are looking for your target and your mission is to tail him, you do not walk through the park straight at him, because you are the only person walking through the park straight at him. That's kind of a hint that you're not part of the game. So there are a lot of things like that that makes you really think like a spy. And observing somebody playing the game from a distance, scoring points while doing so, is just it's amazing. It makes you feel like this. The single player is fun, but this makes it come truly alive. It makes you feel like an intruder in the best possible way. It's all fun and games. It's not creepy. It's just fun.
It's all fun and
I
games
repeat,
until you poke
it's
someone in
not
the
creepy.
eye.
So that's cool. The single player is fun once you get the hang of it. The first mission I did was I thought it was a stealth mission. I was trying to infiltrate this building, and all those guards kept seeing me and shooting me. And it is the type of game that if you are seen, it's game over. You have to revert to checkpoint, and that's hella frustrating. That's not good. Until I found out that I wasn't supposed to actually enter the building yet, because I could actually hack cameras and by hacking cameras, get line of sight on the guards inside, lure them to places that I could blow up remotely, and take out the entire cadre of guards without actually stepping inside. I
That's
wiped them out,
awesome.
and then finally just walked in whistling and do the thing I was supposed to do, and that feels very empowering. It's a cool game. It's not the best ever, but it's a solid experience that I recommend people interested in the multiplayer, especially. Chris, how about yourself?
I spent a lot of time in Rift. I've jumped back in there. Bill and I were talking again the other day. I think Rift is like my World of Warcraft. It is the game I will always go back to.
It makes you ashamed and feel dirty?
No, that's how World of Warcraft makes you feel. I feel no such shame playing any game. Well, except maybe Leisure Suit Larry. That there was some shame when I played that when I was younger. A little bit. Oh crap, my parents are coming. Where's the boss key? Where's the boss key? You remember those? Boss keys?
Oh God,
And it would
yeah.
put up a spreadsheet? Yeah. Yeah, that was funny.
Boy.
That was
I
awesome.
used to play Oregon Trail a lot. That was about it.
Yeah. At least the new Leisure Suit Larrys have just never been the same. Or maybe it's just that I wasn't a 13-year-old boy anymore. You know.
Well,
Anyways,
surface of it.
I'm
that 13-year-old
awkward
boy's not too
silence.
far in there.
Awkward silence. I'm looking forward this week. I'm gonna before WildStar launches. I'm gonna try to get some video of the new Souls in action. I'm really interested to see the warrior healer and see how that works in action, and the mage tank. That's gonna be interesting. So I'm gonna. That's my pre-WildStar job, is to jump into there. So just waiting to get the souls from Tryon so I can try them out. So it's going to be fun. But I've really been enjoying it, just leveling my warrior. Doom, doom, doom. Lots of Hearthstone on my tablet, although I don't play in front of my students anymore because they mock me because I suck. Although I did get up to rank 23. Yay.
That's like two ranks above lowest.
Right? What rank
Yeah.
do you get to, Harry?
I'm 24. Shut up.
So I really enjoy that, and I've been playing, I forget what it's called now, like R3 Racing or something on my iPad, and for some reason I'm totally, you know what it is, and this is what I totally get hooked on with MMOs as well. I remember the first time I really got the idea that I liked progressing through stuff was a golf game on Super Nintendo. And what you did is you played and then you bought better clubs, and you had access to better golf courses and stuff like that. And that was the start of my addiction to the progression through MMOs, right? To leveling, to all that sort of
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so this R3 Racing totally brings that back. You start with one car, and then you have to do a bunch of races, and the controls are actually really, really good. So
I had this first experience with with Elite because you upgrade your ship back in
Right.
the 80s by buying modules.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, every time I played an RPG, I thought, oh, they took this from Elite. Taking new equipment is basically the same like upgrading my ship. You have this source that this moment, and that's for you. It's golf. For me, it was Elite.
Yeah, and I don't
It
know
doesn't matter what
why-
it is.
Yeah, I don't know why that was the particular one that got me, but yeah, it's one of those things. It was just really, really cool. So yeah, so I'm really enjoying that. And now all of a sudden, of course, after what you said, there is just one simple thing going through my head, because you said that for the longest time, and of course, being a Billy Joel fan, that of course means that. There we go.
Oh boy, here we go.
For the longest. For the longest.
I love that song. Billy Joel is just the bomb. It's too bad he can't sing those high ranges anymore. We were talking about that as well. Bill, we had so many conversations on that drive. It was
special family moments, Chris.
It was. Yeah, so and then I played some WildStar Ops Week, but just jumping in really. I'm getting ready for our event on Saturday. Going to start streaming at 8 a.m. Pacific. Woohoo! It's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to it. Anybody else looking forward to it? Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, what?
Hey, I actually
I'm not
have
looking
something
forward
to say
to
to Harry
WildStar.
real quick here about the Oculus
Oh,
Rift.
sure.
He was talking about the Oculus Rift, and I was trying to put this in there, but he just kept going because he really liked it. I hope that somebody comes out with a very small demo of the last scene of Lawnmower Man, where you're putting your hand out and you're trying to get access to get out of the computer. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The whole access denied scene. I hope somebody makes that. That's it. That I would love to just sit in a chair and just look around and try and get out. It'd be awesome.
I can think of about 1,500 things I'd rather do. But to each his own. That's the beauty of Rift. You can have your own experience. And nobody will know what you're doing.
You're wrong. You
There's a little
need to
Lawnmower
be
Man
led. Just like everyone else, it's a basic need.
This technology is meant to expand human communication. But
All right, there you go. That's all the Lawnmower Man you're going to get. I
It's
couldn't
all
get to
the
the
long
access denied bit.
I didn't like that movie one bit. It's a terrible movie.
It is.
Watch War Games instead. You need to.
War
everybody
Games is
needs to watch
great.
War Games. Yeah,
War Games
one of my
is
favorite
great.
all-time movies.
Yeah, I like
But
War Games.
anything else but WildStar, or is this your
That's
week?
it. That's been it. Rift, Hearthstone, WildStar. That's it.
Oh, that's not bad.
No.
It's a good gaming week.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. All right, let's get going into some news.
Time for some news. Evil Line is updating its game to there is this exploration business where you go into systems, scan down signal sources, and they spawn specific assignments. For example, you have hacking mini games where you can get containers with loot, or you can find hives of drones that you have to take out and salvage for money. This exploration is actually a fun career to take. It's one of my favorite pastimes in EVE when I played it, and they are now adding to the exploration in the next update, and to get people ready and set up, they are introducing new player training sessions, and I think that's good. It's a little bit daunting that you have the need for classes to take in the game to be able to play the game, but any help you can get to get going
Yeah, that's pretty
in
funny.
Evil Line. Yeah, but there's actually an EVE University where people can sign up for classes with an actual teacher through Skype, and people are just following class on EVE, which is ridiculous.
It sounds ridiculous, but really, this is, in order for me to feel like I was comfortable stepping into EVE and getting started, this is essentially what I need. I have zero faith that I'd be able to catch up to anyone in EVE without some kind of background like this.
Yeah, you
To me,
do
this is actually
need.
more intimidating. I have to take a class to play this game now. It's very intimidating.
You need to have a diploma before you can actually get in. It is.
Yeah,
it-
exactly.
Some gears have
Oh,
a
that
gear
was-
check. Eve has a diploma check.
You're not that far off, because there is this system of competencies that you have within EVE that will tell you what you can do and what you can do. And if you this is your skill set, and it has certificates that prove that you are competent, for example, in shield tanking or in armor rigging or whatever. And if you apply to a corporation, you have to show your skills
Ah.
so they can tell at the interview just like you're in a job interview. Look, okay, what diplomas do you have? What skills do you have? Well, you have to show that. and you can actually be denied into a corporation if they think you are not competent
Access
enough.
denied.
So, access denied. We have a show title.
I thought it was going to be ironic.
It is ironic, but it's still
Access denied is ironic.
It is.
I don't know how.
Anyway,
but anyways.
so but that's the thing. And there are several player-run training sessions. This one apparently is developer-led, and they are actually calling it seminars.
Ooh, that sounds fancy.
Fancy but cool, and I wish Eve was more like Elite, but well.
You wish life was more like Elite. You wish everything was more like Elite.
As I told you last week, if I got an Oculus Rift and I got Elite Dangerous, I'm never coming out again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you could get some like Elite Dangerous branded toilet paper and stuff.
Okay, the one flaw in my plan. Let's not get into detail. I think Chris.
Speaking of details.
Yeah.
Speaking of details,
Please.
a great video from the whoops, and that's showing the wrong video. A great video from the folks over at Wargaming, and they have got a whoops, still showing the wrong video. They've got a new.
I like her.
What's that?
You were really playing the wrong video.
Dude, right? You mean the show notes that I was showing?
Yeah.
That mute sound is just getting to me. All right. Yeah, so they've got a new developer diary. Shows a whole bunch of new stuff. The devs actually, a lot of it is them exploring some real warships, which was cool. But it also talks about some of the details of the game. Explains how being on the ships gives them some more data use and stuff like that. And it's a long video, 5 minutes and 35 seconds. The one sort of tidbit that comes out of this, they did think about putting submarines into the game because they did make such a huge impact on ship battles, but there's just no way to have that in the game systems that they've got and have it be a fair experience. It just wouldn't be fun anymore, and this is a game after all. That's
ridiculous. I mean, World War II had many battles between fleets and subs.
That's
the Germans
correct.
had subs, and we
Maybe
still
they'll
were
have
one.
World of Submarines next, and then they can put it all together. But with the engine that they're building for World of Warships, it just wasn't with the game engine. It just wasn't working. So I have a lot of faith in Wargaming. After I wasn't a huge fan of World of Tanks, but it was good. I continue to be a huge fan of World of Warplanes. I think that game is fantastic, absolutely awesome. So I'm definitely going to jump into World of Warships just because they've got that sort of trust from me that what they've built is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to it. Leonor, what do you think? You've been into World of Tanks? What do you think about World of Warships?
I love the
I
idea.
think this is a pretty cool thing, especially if they start tying all of the games together. But that's we don't even know if they're going to do that. So, doing the warships are really cool. Unfortunately, I would really like to have pirate ships instead.
Really?
Yes. I want like 50 cannons and turning, to starboard and bam and boom, boom, boom and all that. I like those.
Right.
What I really like about the idea of naval battles is that it mimics the epic battle between Khan and Kirk in Wrath of Khan. I mean, you have this opportunity for slow, deliberate tactical combat on the water with positioning and not totally twitch based. And I think that's epic.
And that's still the best part of Star Trek Online that I recall too. Like that's the I think we've talked about it before, but the best part of that game really is the ship combat. It may not be the detailed, precise Star Trek combat that some people might kind of lust after, but it's a close approximation. It's not a
Which I also love.
button mash fest. So that's kind of what my dream for World of Warships is to have it be a little bit more tactical. If that was the one thing that I was turned off a little bit on with World of Warplanes, is that it's still a little bit twitch. You kind of had to plan your attack angles a little bit, but if you had the appropriate plane, you could get out of almost anything, and by doing psychotic maneuvers and everything like that, which is
I didn't find that. I find it arcadey, but I didn't find it quite that bad. So I had a different experience.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just it was a little more than I expected. So I'm hoping that they dial back that arcadeness or arcadiness, whatever the correct non-word is, with World of Warships.
Well, I hope they don't, because I liked it the way it was, and it was more about you did have to use tactics, and you did have to use it wasn't all just flailing the mouse around, but it was a nice mix. So, all right, Bill. Okay. Speaking of warplanes,
well,
there's some bad news.
Disney's pulled out their 50 cal cannons and shot down attack squadrons. Some of you may remember the Star Wars Attack Squadrons game that was announced at the end of last year. It's been operating in I believe a closed beta state for the last short while. Just today not just today, on it was last Friday, it looks like, actually got the notice that they're actually going to be closing it down. They're not going to continue development. They're not going to actually release Star Wars Attack Squadrons because they want to what was the exact quote here?
We have decided to cease development so that we can focus on other Star Wars game experiences.
Blah.
That's what I think of that.
Because
like the Han Solo and Chewbacca dance-off game.
Because this was the game when we talked when it first kind of came out, and we talked about it a bit. This game was the hope. We were hoping it was going to be the spiritual successor to X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and give you that Star Wars ship to ship or fighter to fighter combat, I should say. There's a gap there. That's something that needs to happen, and it's not there. So really, maybe they just knew Star Citizen was going to blow it out of the water. I don't know, but I'm disappointed. I would have liked to have seen this happen.
Yeah,
I would. Any Star Wars game that they had in production before the takeover is actually on the chopping block. I think
it's like
they're
1313 is gone, and this is gone, and they all looked fun, like absolutely fun.
Do you guys think do you think this is political, or do you think there's actual technical or story-driven reasons for this?
I think it's story, because they went through the canon and just with an axe and cut everything out except
that whole
for the 6
universe.
Movies. Yeah, the entire EU
and the
is
Christmas
out.
special is still canon.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I've seen that. Some things cannot be unseen, but the removal of everything that's not the 6 movies plus Clone Wars, oddly enough, from canon is to make room to bulldoze everything out of the way for the direction they're going to take the franchise.
The new Rebels is also going to be canon, though.
The what?
Rebels. It's the new Clone Wars sort of thing. It's the new.
Oh, right. Well, but it's just. On the one hand, I'm kind of sad for the investment that many people have in the extended universe, I've had this discussion with friends who said, "Okay, well, but now it's pointless, and I've read all these stories, and it's no more." And my personal feeling about this is, okay, if you enjoyed the stories,
It wasn't pointless.
you're
Yeah.
yeah, and what they consider canon is not that important to me for my experience. When Harry Potter was concluded and J.K. Rowling had finished her books, you could tell that she was kind of sorry that it all went away. And then she came out of the woodworks a couple of times to tell everybody what she thought would have happened to Harry after the books ended. And most recently, this is a spoiler for if you just warning everybody if you haven't read the last Harry Potter book, turn down the volume for about a minute. But she was basically saying that Ron and Hermione's marriage would probably fail, and that she just put that in there for personal reasons, and that actually ended up with Harry rather than the other way. And my thought was, you shut up. You stay out of this. This isn't your story anymore. It's the same feeling I have with with George Lucas's changes, but the difference is he actually changed the stuff and made the original sources unavailable. All this stuff is still available, so your story is just your story, and the writer should just stay the frick out of it, because now it's mine. It's now in my head, and I'm imagining what's going to happen next. And if you wanted anything to say about it, you write another damn book. Don't bother me. So that's what basically Star Wars is doing. They're making a new movie. And if that's good enough, I'm happy with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I just wanted to play it. That's really all it comes down to.
So where does this leave the Old Republic then? Because is it too big to actually chop? Because it's
the bastard stepchild.
Or is it just so far removed from the current canon and the movie storyline that it's just not relevant anymore in terms of what canon to chop and what not? Or is this just a convenient excuse because it's still somewhat profitable and they actually did sell a license to EA to publish it for X amount of time? Is that canon going to get chopped when that license is done?
They've
It's
never
no
said
longer
that
canon.
Old Republic is canon. They never said it was canon.
Well, now they have explicitly said it's not canon.
There you
And there are people who also complained about that. And my response to that is, did you actually believe that you were in Star Wars when you were playing it?
Yeah.
Do you think that your actions in the MMO contributed to the actual story of Star Wars? Because if you think that, then you have a bigger problem than somebody telling you it's not canon.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is
the
a
other
game.
two games that were before the MMO were considered canon.
Yeah.
I remember that Star Wars Galaxies had the Hoth battle against the
true.
Walkers. And due to technical constraints, they couldn't do the toe line and the hook to the legs, And at Fanfare, the SOE dev said, okay, this battle takes place at a different time in the Star Wars storyline. And in this case, the armor is not too strong for blasters. And with a little wink and a nudge. And this is basically what it boils down to. Games and all the stuff around it, it's supposed to be fun. It's basically giving us toys to play in this universe. And it's not that important to the rest of the whole thing. So I think Star Wars The Old Republic can happily just keep on running without having the official stamp of canon improvement. Approving.
I kind of disagree with you there, because Star Wars is one of those properties I think that it goes a little bit beyond just being fun. Part of the fun, or part of the enjoyment of Star Wars, is the mythos and that you're stepping into. That maybe that there is. That when you're playing a game, that you are actually a little bit of a piece of the history of Star Wars, and that your actions in the Old Republic create a butterfly effect that actually have something to do with the actual films, or that kind of thing. That even if it's just a feeling, or if it's just kind of that patronization that you hand off to the player in there. I think that's actually an important part of Star Wars, and I think that people value that in Star Wars.
I agree that's. I understand that the entire thing of an extended universe and being part of a storyline that's bigger than just those movies and goes on and on and on. I think that's a big part of the fun. But when it comes to games, I think you cannot expect these things to be completely. I mean, they are toys at that point, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, chess pieces are toys. That doesn't mean that it's not serious. But they are toys, and your story there is not the story as written. It's just it's not important to the experience. When I was playing X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, I was just happy as hell to be able to fly an X-Wing. And that's just enough.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think while for some it may be important, I don't think it's a linchpin for the game. I don't think the enjoyment of the game for a large majority of the population hinges on it. I think it may be increased by it, but I don't think it hinges on it. All right, Eleanor, you, the tester of testers, know all about a few betas coming out, don't you?
Got a couple of things to talk about real quick. Yep, that's right. We have a closed beta and we have a open beta that is going to be available next month. The first game is called Swordsman, which I think Chris brought up
we talked about it a few
months
times
ago.
Yeah.
It is a MMO that has a Asian feel to it, and their closed beta is going to be June 16th to June 27th. So if you want to try and jump into that, now's the time to sign up for it. The other one is the Strange One from Funcom, the makers of Conan and Secret World, which all have mature ratings, is the Lego minifigures game. It kind of looks like it's an MMO, but it kind of looks like a platformer type game. It's very weird. That's going to go into open beta next month, and they haven't given a time on it yet. So if you want to try that, you need to sign up pretty quick.
That's cool. I want to try that Swordsman one, but I have yet to, and it's not just the art style or anything like that, or the setting. Usually the gameplay in Asian-based MMOs tends to be a little grindy for me, and I start to really like the setting and stuff, but the gameplay kind of kills me.
Come on, Chris. I'll take you. Just take my hand. Come on, let's go.
Mommy. The strange man is inviting me to his van.
Don't get into betas with strange men.
Yeah.
I can tell you this, it's not chocolate.
Okay, time to move along. All right, thanks, Leonor. Going to talk about a couple quick sponsors here. Doghouse Systems. Our friends over at Doghouse Systems use the coupon code MMO Reporter when you pick one of their amazing, awesome, super cool systems over at doghousesystems.com, and you can double your RAM. That's right, you pay for 8, you get 16. Booyah. And Audible, go to audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter if you want to try out some audiobooks. We were talking about a few today. I think, Harry, you were talking about Ready Player One. The author does the narration, right?
No, in Ready Player One, as I said, it's Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton does that. That's right. Sorry. I totally knew it was somebody cool. So you can check that out over at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. You sign up for their plan, and hey, you know what? You'll get your first month free, and you can get Ready Player One and download that, and you'll get to keep it forever, even if you cancel before you have to pay. So there you go. That's fantastic.
But
Bill,
why would you cancel?
Exactly. You shouldn't cancel. But Bill, if people want to get a hold of us, let us know what they think about Star Wars and its canon and its cancellation of so many games. How can they do that?
Well, you can over at MMOreporter.com, the hub of all MMO Reporter goodness, where you find links to all of our sister shows and comment threads for all of our episodes. You can send us a traditional old email to mmo.reporter@gmail.com. You can find us over at Facebook, facebook.com/MMO Reporter, and you can like or unlike. Actually, no, you can't unlike. Facebook should have a unlike, but that's a whole other issue. You could tweet at any of us. You could definitely put your unlikes there, either at MMO_reporter, at Harry Hall, at Leonor, or at MMO Bill for yours truly. You can leave us voicemail at 616-666-6778, or click the widget on the side, the right side of MMOreporter.com. Finally, head over to youtube.com/user/MMO Reporter Network for the YouTubeization of all kinds of good MMO Reporter stuff, including convention footage, game streaming, and our YouTubeified podcasts.
And Harry singing.
And Harry singing, because you can never get enough singing Harrys. Right?
Actually, there are several people who disagree with you.
Well, thank you, Harry. It's been a fun recording.
It was fun, absolutely.
Thank you, Bill. It's, as always, a blast.
Blast it off.
And Leonor, as always, a somewhat tolerable experience.
Yeah.
And
We got by.
Thanks to everyone for downloading the podcast. We have a lot of fun putting these together, and we hope that you really enjoy listening to them, watching them, or however you may consume them. We hope that you consume them once again next week, and of course, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every